I'm creating an easy little die cut edge on my card base using brand new release products from Hero Arts. Hey everyone, it's Joy here and welcome to my channel. All right, I'm starting with an A2 size piece of Kraft cardstock, and I'm starting with my base large die from the layered lilac dies from Hero Arts. This is brand new products from their release. And I am using some low tack tape, and I'm going to be die cutting on the right hand side of that tape. So we're just going to be doing some partial die cutting to give us a fun creative edge to our card base. I am starting not on my card base, but we will get to that in just a second. So you can see I'm lining up my top plate on that line, and I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. So it's only going to die cut up to where I have that plate. So everything on the left hand side of that die is not going to be die cut. So I'm starting with my paper that I have on top first, because I think that will be easier to line up my card base. So let me remove this low tack tape and my die, and so you can see that that's die cut there. Now I'm going to take my paper trimmer and just carefully trim up to that die cut piece on the top and bottom, and then I can pull everything off on that right side. I was having a moment there of like, oh my gosh, how do I turn this around? I don't know why. And there might even be an easier way to do this. This is how I did it and what worked in my brain for me. So I'm just die cutting gently, or not die cutting, trimming up to that line. I did have to bring in my scissors just a little bit. And then now we have this fun edge. And then it's cut back a little bit because I do want to see the back part of the card base when the front is closed. Okay, so now I am lining up my top piece to my white A2 size card base. My card base is closed right now. So now I'm going to line up my tape against that outer edge of the Kraft cardstock. So this time my plate will be lined up to the left-hand side of the tape. I'm lining up my die and then taping that in place, and then I can easily slide out my Kraft cardstock and everything is in place. So now I'm going to line up my top plate again to the left-hand side of my mint tape there, and make sure you open up your card base. You don't want to die cut the back. So I open that up. I'm going to line up my top plate here. And I probably should have shown you on camera, but you guys, I showed you the first part, so you understand. And then I'm just going to run that through my die cut machine. And then when I pull that out, the top or the front of your A2 sized card panel will be die cut. I'm going to have to trim it exactly the same way. So let me peel off all of the tape. And a little bit of my mint tape stuck to it, but I can just get that off. So I'm going to bring back in my paper trimmer and line that up right to the end of where it was die cut. Again, because I stopped where my tape was. So I used my mint tape as a guide. You could use a pencil line. You could do whatever. To me, that was just the easiest because it was also holding down my die cut. So now that I've got that trimmed, I'm going to pull that off. And then I can lay my piece on top and it lines up perfectly. Then I'm going to be using the new Birdsong script background die, rubber stamp, geez Louise, and Hero Arts unicorn ink. And this is going to be on the front of our Kraft cardstock. I would like to have this nice little print on there. So I'm going to place this down. You could use your MISTI for this, but to me this is just as easy, and I'm just going to use my fingers and press. And it's really light and the script is really fine and it's so pretty, but it's going to give us a nice little background. I'm also going to splatter some white. I'm using a white luster marker, and I kind of want some bigger splatters. I don't want a ton of fine splatter, and I'm going in the corners, avoiding the center because we're not really going to see much in the center because we've got two flowers that we're going to be putting there. So I have die cut 2 of the layered lilac flowers, and I am using Spellbinders cardstock. So the dark color here is Orchid. This light color that I'm gluing is Mulberry, and then the lightest color that I put on top of that will be Violet. So there'll be 3 colors, and this is just a fun layered die cut. I love layered die cuts. They just turn out being so pretty, but we're going to have 2 of these on our card, and I wanted to do 2 different colorways. So you have this piece here. It totally slid on me. Let me put it back right there in the center. And then you have separate little flowers that you can glue on. And I'm going to speed this part up because it's just a lot of little flowers. You can cover the whole front, but to me, then you're going to be missing that second color. So I just picked a few spots to put the lightest color in. And then there's some little dots that I die cut from beeswax cardstock that I'm going to place in the center. Now, you can, on the outer edge of the darkest color that's in the background, there you can place little dots, the little center pieces to the flowers there. I actually opted to not do that. I wanted it more in the background, but you could. So here's this one here. I'm just using my Pick Pro tool and some Artis liquid glue. And I'm going to add my little dots. I'm not going to show putting everything on because it's just a bunch of tiny little dots that I kept having to turn over because they wanted to be upside down. I think next time, honestly, I might just use some pops of color or Nuvo crystal drops or something for the center so it'd go much faster. Okay, the darkest color here is Lilac. Then that middle color is Lavender, and then the lightest color is Fairy Tale. Then I'm using Fern and Rainforest for my leaves, and I'll show you to put those together. So again, just putting a few, and I'm just trying to make it look a little bit different than the other one. A few of that lighter color. I don't want to cover up everything. I want it to look like there's the 3 different colors going on. So let me get all of those in place, and then of course I'm going to add the little yellow centers to this, just like I did on the first one. Let's just get a couple more. Okay, now for the leaves, you've got these beautiful veins. I think that's so pretty. So this darker color is Fern, and I'm going to place that down on the Rainforest leaves. I did end up only using 2 of the leaves, but there are 3 leaves to die cut. I like that they're all different shapes and different sizes. I just love having variety like that when you have die cuts like this. I think it's a lot of fun. And they always look so pretty. And then we have the stems to our flowers. And I totally had lost my, it flew. I don't know how it flew, but the vein flew to the other side of my desk. And I thought I was going crazy for a second. I'm like, I know I just had it. I swear I just saw it. Okay, let's glue our flowers, our beautiful lilacs, to our stems, and then we can start getting this card put together. Okay, first let's do our sentiments. This is the Everyday Sentiments Strips 2. Now there is a coordinating die for this that I did not have, so I just had to use my paper trimmer and trim it out. Not a big deal. I did trim it out a little bit. It could have been a little more centered, but it's fine. These are handmade cards, you know, but there is a coordinating die for that. I just did not have it. So I trimmed out the sentiment that says have a lovely day, but then I can just keep those sentiments and trim out whatever it is I need. So let's take our first lilac and lay it on our die cut edge there. Isn't that so fun? Our little partially die cut edge. I love that. And then I'm going to add 1 millimeter for our other flower, and that one's going to overlap. And our background is dry. The splatter, I think that looks so pretty. And that text on the back, so pretty. And then I'm going to grab some twine. And I want to wrap this around like 3 times and tie a little knot. I just feel like that would look really pretty with this. So I'm going to tie a knot right over the stems of those flowers. And then I can bring in my leaves. I want 1 leaf to go over the top of it. And I also wanted to do this right now because I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind it so it's popped up on the card base. So let's do 2 millimeter for this leaf and a little bit of liquid glue on the end so I can tuck that under our flower, and then the other leaf is going to go towards the bottom here. Let me trim that excess off. First I thought I was going to put the sentiment down there, but I did not love it. So let's tuck that other leaf. Perfect. And then 2mm foam adhesive for our sentiment. And then we can get this adhered to our card base. So 1mm behind. That will also help your paper to not have a bump where you have that twine. So let's put this down, lining that up. I think it was a little crooked, so I need to straighten that just the tiniest bit. Okay, and let's add some foam adhesive. Nope, sorry, some gold sequins. Geez Louise. Just a few of those around, and then we can take a look at this up close. And I love how this card turned out. I love that fun little die cut edge, and these layered lilacs are beautiful. That Birdsong script is so pretty. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you like what you've seen, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I'll be back soon with another video.